How's it going, YouTube? This is Coxie1979, old school gamer, and today we are back in Unity 5 for the fourth part of our first person tutorial series. Where we left off last time, we just built these little house bunker kind of things. Just having a bit of a play around with some of the 3D objects in Unity and a bit of building. And today we're actually just going to build a door for this little thing here, this little bunker house. We're just going to do a door that just slides straight up and down just for this one, and then later on in the series when we do some proper houses we'll do some doors that open and close normally. You could use this same like technique that we're going to use now to just make a door that slides side to side if you want to do that as well. So yeah, let's just get started. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use this wall here to make our door, because this will be the same size as what our sliding door needs to be. So click on this, Control D, come up here and change it to door, and get yourself a decent view, and just grab it on the y-axis and just drag it down so it's just touching the ground. And now as you'll see, when we animate this, do the animation for it to go straight up and down, at the moment if you pull it up and down it'll kind of glitch out because this wall is the same thickness as the wall above it. So we're going to narrow this door down a bit, so you just come up here to X and do 0.1 maybe, yeah, 0.1 just to be safe. And now when we slide it up and down, no worries at all. Alright, so I'll just put that back on the ground. And now we're going to do the animation for the door. So to do this you have to open up an animation window like this, and if you haven't got one, come down here to this drop down menu, just click on that, click on add tab, and then come down to animation and it'll bring up this window here for you. So once you've done that, make sure your door's selected like this, and go to create, and we'll just call this door open, and then it'll bring up the animation window here ready to go. So we've got our timeline across the top here. All we need to do is we need to still make sure the door is selected, which it is, and then we need to go to add property, transform. We're only going to be transforming the position because we're only moving it straight up and down. We're not rotating and we're not resizing in scale. So just click on the plus for position and you'll see it adds 2 keyframes here and 2 keyframes here. We actually don't want these keyframes here because what will happen if we leave these keyframes here is by the end of the animation, when the animation gets to here, the door will end up in this position closed, and we want the door to end up open at the end of the animation. So left click on these 2 keyframes here and then right click and then delete keys. Alright, so leave your line here, your red line, where you want to put the next keyframes, and all we're going to do now is we're just going to actually animate the door by grabbing it on the y-axis again and just pulling it straight up. I'm going to just change it up here on the y-axis to 1.7, and we're going to use this in the next animation, because in the next animation when the door closes we want to start at 1.7 and then just have the door close straight down. So once you've done that, you can click on the little record button here, and if you push play you'll see the doors animating, opening straight up like that. So click on that again to stop it, and now we need to make our door close animation. So where it says door open here, click these little up and down arrows, create new clip, and this one we'll call door close. Okay, so this time we click at the very start at 0, and we want the door to start off up in the air where we left off in the other animation, which was 1.7. so you've got 2 keyframes there, and now click back up here exactly where we were last time to 60 frames, and we are just going to grab it on the y-axis and pull it straight back down so the door's just touching the ground like that, and we are done. If you click off the record button there and then play it, the door will close Okay. So I'll turn that off so the door's back to its original closed position. Go into project, and you'll notice now that we have a door animation controller. We have an animation door close and an animation door open. This controller here, the animator controller, we don't want this because this is what you use when you're going to use Mechanim, and we're going to be using the old style animation in Unity. So right click on that, delete it, because we don't need it. And now click on your door, and you'll notice now in the inspector for your door we actually have an animator, and we don't want this either because this is also for Mechanim, which is the kind of newer animation in Unity, which we're not going to use. Okay, so just click on this and remove. Now we want to add an animation, so all you do, if you haven't got anything up there, is just go AN and click on animation like that. You'll notice when we click on this, it's not actually coming up. I think I've already done it, but if you click on your animation, come up here to this drop down panel up here and click debug, and make sure that you mark these animations as legacy, and then click on your second animation and also mark that as legacy, and then click on the drop down panel again and turn it back to normal. So to mark as animation as legacy, click on the animation, drop down panel up here, debug, and then make sure it's selected as legacy, and then turn it back to normal. Okay. Alright, so click on our door again. I'm going to drag the door open into this slot here, and then I'm going to grab the door close and pull it into this slot here. Okay, so that's our animation set up. If I'll just put that back to 0. Sometimes when you do this, you won't have a slot down here, so all you do is change the size here. So yeah, if you want to add more animations, just change the size. We'll leave that to 1, and I'll just make sure I drag my door close back to there, and then you'll get the door open appear as well. Okay, so that's set up and done. So now we're just going to do our code. We're going to be coding in Java because I'm still just learning C#, and I'm not that great at C#, and I couldn't work out how to do it in C#. I mainly code in C++, which is useless for Unity, obviously, and I know a little bit of Java. So we're going to be coding in Java, and I'm going to be using MonoDevelop. You can use Visual Studio 2015, sorry, or MonoDevelop. And to change between the two, if you want to use MonoDevelop like me, go to Edit, Preferences, External Tools, and then up here it says External Script Editor. You can swap between Visual Studio and 2015. Spastic. Visual Studio 2015 and MonoDevelop, okay? And I've got MonoDevelop. Alright, so let's do our script. It's going to be a fairly complicated script we're doing as our first script. But you'll just have to follow along because there's no real other way I know how to do it. So just go JavaScript and call this open doors maybe. Okay, so double click on the script and it should open up in MonoDevelop like this, and we're just going to grab this and just delete this so we can just start from the start. Just leave the pragma strict there, that's fine. And first of all, we're just going to do a few variables. So the first variable we're going to do is going to be var our door colon, and it's going to be a transform, and then finish with a semicolon. Next one's going to be a private var, and it's going to be draw GUI. GUI is going to be what comes up on the screen, the writing, which is going to say press E to open the door. So equals false, because we don't want the GUI to just show up as soon as we start the game. We only want the GUI to show up when we actually go near the door. Now the third one we're going to do is going to be private var door closed equals true, semicolon. Okay, so there are three variables we're going to be using, and now we're just going to do function update with a capital U, open and close bracket. You can do your open curly bracket on this line if you want, or you can just do it underneath. You need an open and closed curly bracket, so you can just do it like that. Or another way to do it, which I actually prefer doing it this way because I find it easy when you start out coding, is to just do it underneath like that, and then just press enter and then tab, so you can see that you're actually writing in between the two brackets a bit easier. Just do it however you want. Just make sure you have open and closed curly brackets and you put this code in between it. So now we're going to do an if statement in our function update, and it's going to be if draw GUI is equal to, so equals true, and, so two and symbols, input dot get, get key down. Make sure you do get key down and not get button down. So get key down, key code dot E, and we're going to set this up, and this is going to be the button we're going to press when we want to open the door, which is going to be our use button. So if GUI equals true, so if you can see the GUI on the screen that says press E to open door, and you push E, then the door's going to do this. So underneath this, go open and close curly brackets. I'm going to put the next bit of code in between these and write change door state, open and close bracket, finish off with a semicolon. Okay, so underneath this, just go down a space so you can see it all clearly. We're going to do the function, which is when we actually enter the collider that we're going to put on the door. So it's going to be called function on trigger enter the collider colon, which is type collider. Underneath this, open and close curly brackets. Now, if statement, if the collider dot tag equals, so is equal to open, make sure you got the quotation marks and put this in the quotation marks, player with a capital P. Now that we've done this, we're actually going to tag our first person controller as the player. So go back into Unity quickly, click on your FPS controller, and you can see my tag up here. I'm already tagged as player. Yours will be untagged like that. So you just click on that and make sure you're tagged as the player, so that when we walk into the collider for the door, it recognizes that we are tagged as the player. Alright, back into Mono Develop. Underneath this, open and close curly brackets, and we need to write draw GUI equals true. So when we walk into the collider for the door and we're tagged as player, or an object's tagged as player, we want it to write on the screen, press E to enter the door. So that GUI needs to be true, which is the variable that we've defined up here. Okay, now we need to do when we walk out of the collider for the door, what we want to happen then. So function on trigger exit the collider dot tag is equal to player. Okay, so another if statement, if the collider dot tag equals, so it's equal to player open and close curly brackets, draw GUI is equal to false. So when we walk out of the collider for the door, we want the GUI or the writing on the screen to equal false. We don't want it to show anymore unless we're actually standing next to the door. Okay, so now we're going to do our GUI function, which is actually where we want the writing to be placed on the screen and what we want to be written. So function on GUI if draw GUI equals, so it's equal to true, open and close curly bracket. We want GUI dot box rect screen dot width times, so shift 8 to do the time symbol, 0.5 51 200 102 22. So that's going to be the position on the screen and the size of the GUI. And now we want to have the writing, what we want the GUI to actually say, which we'll just do press E to open. Finish off with a semicolon. Come down here. Done to another function. Function change door state. Another if statement, if door closed, so we're referencing this variable up here we made, the door closed one, equals, so is equal to true, then we want our door, which is the other variable we made up here, dot get component dot I don't know what these brackets are called, but just do exactly as I'm typing it. Animation, open and close brackets, dot, oops, crossfade. And now we need to type in the exact name of what we called our animation in between these two quotation marks and the brackets. So just double check and make sure you know what you called it. So we want to use the open one, and we just called it door open. Okay, lowercase d, capital O. So door open. That has to be exactly the same as your animation, or else it won't work. Okay, next line. So next one is going to be our door. We're actually going to put sound on the door as well, like an opening sound and a closing sound. So this is going to reference the audio source, so that it will actually play the sound. So our door dot get component dot audio source this time instead of animation. Audio source dot play. Okay, and then underneath that, door closed equals false. So it's telling it that it doesn't want the door to be closed anymore, because we're actually opening the door now, we're playing the animation, we're playing the sound of the door opening, and door closed is now equal to false. Okay, underneath that, we want the door to stay open for a little while before it plays the close animation. So we're going to type in yield, wait for seconds, and then how many seconds we want to wait. Maybe we'll do like 5. So the door will open, and then after 5 seconds the door will automatically close again. And then once the door closes, we want it to do all this stuff pretty much, except we'll just change a few things. So if you just grab these 3 lines of code here and copy them, and then underneath the yield wait for seconds, paste it there, and just make sure we'll do one line at a time. So this is all going to be exactly the same, except we want to change the name of this animation to door close, because that's what we called our closing animation for the door. And we also want to change door closed equals true now, because we do want the door to be closed. Okay, and that should be all. Okay, so there's a few errors that I've found in my script, and just simple errors to make. You've got to be very exact when you're typing in any coding program, and I've noticed I've called the collider and called the collider, and I've called it again here, and this has got 2 L's, 2 L's, and these have only got 1 L. So change the collider there, make sure you got 2 L's. You probably already noticed that when I was typing the script. So make sure that on trigger enter has 2 L's, and on trigger exit has 2 L's. And then down here in the draw the GUI, make sure that we have a closing bracket here as well. So the actual place you want the GUI and the size and everything needs to be in its own set of brackets like that. So save that, go back into Unity, and hopefully, yeah, I think we've fixed our problems. So make sure your script is on your door, so click on your door and just drag that across if you haven't already. And now you'll see that we've got our door transform has appeared, which is what we want. So grab your door and drag that into there, And also on our door, we're going to want an audio source so that we can actually play the open and close sound. So just type in AU and audio source. Make sure it's audio source, not any other ones, audio source. And as you'll see, once you put the audio source on, it'll show you there. That's going to be where the sound's going to come from, and you can make this bigger or smaller, but that's going to be plenty loud enough for what we want. And then we need to get an audio clip. I've got audio clips and things on my computer. You can just go online and just search for free audio clips, door opening or something like that, and I'm sure you'll find something. As I said, all the ones I'm using, everything I use is free. So alright, I'll just grab mine. Where are we? Sound effects. I've got lots of sound effects. Okay, what do we want? Creaky door, creaky closed door, electric door opening. I'll just use this one for the sake of okay, for this tutorial. That should be fine. So I'll just drag that into Unity, and then I'll drag it onto there like so. Also, what we need to set up is we need to set up the E key, which is going to be our use key. So go into Edit, come down to Project Settings, Input, like that. And these are the buttons we can use so far in Unity in our scripts. Like just say Fire 1 is left control or mouse 0, which is left mouse button. So if you use Fire 1 in one of your scripts, you would be using, like if you wanted to use that to shoot a gun, you could use your left mouse button or left control to shoot your gun. But we want to start a new one because there's not one for E. So change this to 19. And you'll see now down the bottom where we had the last one was cancel, we also have a duplicate of cancel. So we're going to use the duplicate of cancel and change that to use. And the button is going to be E. And that should be pretty good, I think. Alright, so let's test this out finally. As you can see, it just played automatically, and it played the sound automatically, so we don't want that. Go back to your door. It's easy to fix on your door like that. See where on animation it says play automatically, click that off, and also on your audio source where it says play on awake, click that off, because we don't want it to play as soon as we go into the game, obviously. We also just need to do one more thing which we didn't set up, which was we actually need to put the collider on the door that the player is going to walk into, which will activate the GUI and will allow us to open it. I'm just going to close all this up to make it nice and neat on our door. So with your door, just we've already got a box collider, but we need to make another one. So click on add component, just type in like BO or something like that, and click box collider. So on the second box collider that we've just made, click the arrow there, and we need to make it a trigger because we've got the on trigger exit and on trigger enter, and it needs to be a trigger to be recognized. It needs to be a trigger to recognize that the player has walked into it. The player, well, the person tagged as player or the object tagged as a player. So anyway, I'll shut up. To make the box collider bigger, all we do is come down to size here, because right now if you walked up to the door it wouldn't recognize that you were there, because you need to make this collider a fair bit bigger. I'm just going to make it like 40. So now when we walk into this box here, the green lines, this is when it should activate the GUI and it should allow us to press E to open the door. So let's try it out. Okay, so we've got our GUI, but it looks a bit squashed up. Pressed E and opened the door and played the sound, and after 5 seconds it shuts the door again. Oops, Unity's lagging out a bit there. And then it closes again. Okay. Alright, so it's all working. It's just the GUI that's a bit cramped up there, so I'll fix that. Okay, so to fix our GUI looking all squashed like that, just go back um, into your script here and just change the 102 here, change that to 120, and then save it, and that should stretch it out on the Z axis. So let's go back in there. I hope that was right. I think it's the Z axis, yeah. So go back into there and play it again once it's loaded the new script or compiled the new script. Go up to your door, and hallelujah, there we go. Perfect. Press E to open. And it closes. You can put any sound you want on this door, and you can put any text you want on it. You can do anything you want. Just have a play around with it. Yeah, it was a bit of stuffing around, but we got there in the end. It's quite a bit to set up if you haven't used Unity before. But before I got into like doing guns and things like that, which is the scripting for that's quite simple for raycasting and things like that. I think so. I wanted to get this basic stuff done first, which is, you need buildings with opening doors and closing doors and things like that. Yeah, so our game's going to be a lot cooler. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time for part 5. Okay, thanks again for watching, guys. Cheers.